Argentina. Change engineering in Dubai. Aluminum production in South Africa. And the aerospace industry in the U.S.? At T. Rowe Price, we understand the connections of a complex global economy. It's just one reason over 75% of our mutual funds beat their 10-year Lipper average. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence. Request a prospectus or summary prospectus with investment information, risks, fees, and expenses to read and consider carefully before investing.
I find the omega choices overwhelming. Then I found Nupro Nutrients Omega 3. It's from Centrum. It's a smaller mini gel with 2 of the best omegas to support my heart, brain, and eyes. Nupro Nutrients from Centrum.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is the New York Times critics' pick. Superb, a mystery about mysteries within mysteries. Rolling Stone raves. Gary Oldman's performance is flawless. He's one of the best actors on the planet. Now's the time. Perhaps the great spy tale of our time. 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, and hands down the best thriller of the year. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Rated R. In select theaters now, everywhere Friday.
Whoa, this is not the number we talked about.
That's our phone number.
No surprise pricing is one thing that makes Pearl Vision different. And here's something else. Buy a pair of eyeglasses or prescription sunglasses, and we'll give you another pair free. Visit pearlvision.com for a store near you.
If there's one request we continually get at Cosmetic Skin and Laser Center, it's how can I tighten my skin without incisions and downtime? Now we can tighten and lift the skin with All Therapy. Unlike past treatments, All Therapy isn't a laser or injection. It's precise ultrasound that heats and tightens skin and deeper tissue. Studies show a significant lift in brows, and patients report a tighter jawline and neck lift as well. Most importantly, it's the perfect treatment for summer. We can treat tan skin, dark skin, and there's no sensitivity to sun after treatment. The best part is with All Therapy, skin tightening starts immediately, and it gets even better over 6 months. All Therapy's been featured on The Doctors, The Early Show, and many others. And in Northern Michigan, it's only at Cosmetic Skin and Laser Center.
There's a Cosmetic Skin and Laser Center near you in Petoskey, Traverse City, and Gaylord. Call us at 231-347-7395 or visit traverseskin.com.
At this hour, NBC News is characterizing the Iowa caucuses as too close to call. But based on what we know so far, Mitt Romney, Ron Paul, Rick Santorum are all in competition to win the caucus. Look at that. How often do you see that? 23, 23, 23. One thing that's interesting that I want to point out here, Ron Paul, according to our entrance polling, is attracting 21% of the self-identified evangelical and born-again vote. 21% for Ron Paul. I think it's underappreciated that Ron Paul's campaign in Iowa, even though he's not necessarily seen this way nationally, Ron Paul in Iowa has been running a campaign that's very, very, very heavily weighing on his, or based on his anti-abortion stance. He's done long and multiple ads about his anti-abortion position in a way that I think may be underappreciated outside Iowa in terms of how directly he has been speaking to evangelicals. 21% of evangelicals going with Ron Paul, according to our entrance polling, 30% going with Rick Santorum, a candidate who everybody thought would sort of lock that group up. Chris Hayes is the host of Up with Chris Hayes on Saturday and Sunday mornings here on MSNBC. He will also be staying up late tonight to lead our coverage beginning at midnight Eastern, and he's here with us now. Chris, what do you think about Ron Paul being in the top tier here tonight, tied with Mitt Romney and Rick Santorum? What does that mean going forward for Ron Paul and the Republican Party?
Well, what's fascinating about this situation is the problems it could create for Romney if in fact he ends up being the eventual nominee, or whoever emerges as the nominee if it is not Paul. And the reason is this: Paul has this, first of all, he's a 76-year-old man. He's probably not going to run for Congress again. He clearly is not in this, for any reason other than to do what he is doing right now. So it's hard to see what incentives he could be given to get him to drop out of the race or to endorse the eventual nominee. He did not endorse McCain the last time around, and he has the money and the organization and the volunteers to last a very long time. In fact, there was a story just the other day about how his campaign is already already looking at those other caucus states, which are late in the calendar, which no one is paying attention to right now, and taking a page from Obama's playbook in 2008 and trying to get their volunteers and their organization active there so they can pick up delegates where they can get them. You can envision a scenario in which Paul just stays in this all the way, creating a headache for Romney if he is going to be the eventual nominee, in that he cannot wrap it up, until perhaps the convention, and at that point you have the classic problem that happened with Jerry Brown, that's happened with other candidates in the past, of giving them a speaking slot, making sure their volunteers and their supporters feel like they're behind the eventual nominee.
But Chris, here's the issue. I don't think, and the Ron Paul campaign can prove me wrong, I would invite them to join us tonight to tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Ron Paul long game here is to influence slightly the makeup of the convention speakers list, to influence Mitt Romney's eventual platform when he becomes the nominee. I don't think that's what Ron Paul is in it for. I think Ron Paul is in it in the long run to change American politics, and in the shorter run to make sure that Mitt Romney isn't the nominee. And I think that Ron Paul specifically wants to try to leverage his position into somebody other than Romney being the nominee, even if it's not Ron Paul. And if that is the case, and maybe I'm wrong, but if that is the case, how does he do it?
Well, that would require Paul doing something that I think would be anathema to him, which would be throwing his support to someone else who would be more viable. I mean, the thing about Ron Paul is his ceiling is probably around where it is right now. It's hard to think of Ron Paul getting more support going down the stretch than he has right now. I mean, he's had a lot of press. He's raising a lot of money. There's a certain sort of hardcore following he's always had. But coming out of Iowa, he's going to be at sort of his high point. The thing is that because he is such a sort of independent figure, or has been in his career, it's very difficult to see him sort of bowing out to, throw his support behind someone who is more establishment or more capable of actually winning the nomination. I think this is a crusade, and I think he's going to stay in it as long as he wants to stay in it.
He's going to stay in it. He's going to build up a huge amount of leverage, maybe a huge amount of delegates, and then we have to see what he does with them.
Right, and he also, I mean, let's remember, no one really went after Romney on the air with negative ads, with some exceptions in Iowa, the way that we could see down the road. I mean, there are a lot of ads to be run against Mitt Romney that have yet to be run, and someone with a large war chest and many, many months to run them, and to make the case against Romney that he's essentially a big government conservative, that he's a sellout, he's a flip-flopper, he's a bailout supporter, all of those can be really brutal for Romney down the stretch, and Paul is the person who can press that case.
Chris Hayes, the host of Up with Chris Hayes, weekend mornings on MSNBC, and the host of our late-night Iowa caucus coverage tonight. Enjoy your disco nap, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate
nap,
it.
nice.
All right, more from Iowa, where it is still too close to call at this hour. Chris Matthews and David Gregory are in Des Moines. When we return, stay with us for full coverage of the Iowa caucuses here on MSNBC.
You want to know why we don't have enough economic growth in this country? Because the middle class doesn't have the disposable income that they used to have. They're feeling the pressures of health care, pension, just keeping their job. And all the Republicans talk about is more tax cuts for the wealthy. We can't raise taxes on the job creators? Really? Where are the jobs?
Tomorrow, America's conversation will start here with a recap of the results from Iowa. Morning Joe, tomorrow 6 to 9 a.m. on MSNBC.
In blind taste tests, even Ragu users chose Prego.
Prego? But I've been buying Ragu for years.
I wonder what other questionable choices I've made.
Choose taste. Choose Prego.
I do a lot of research on Angie's List before I do any projects on my own.
At Angie's List, you'll find reviews written by people just like you.
I love my contractor, and I am so thankful to Angie's List for bringing us together.
Angie's List. Reviews you can trust.
A simple gesture can spark romance anytime. And when it does, men with erectile dysfunction can be more confident in their ability to be ready with Cialis for daily use. Cialis for daily use is a clinically proven low-dose tablet you take every day, so you can be ready anytime the moment's right, even if it's not every day.
Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medications, and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sexual activity.
Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure.
Do not drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away.
Ask your doctor if Cialis for daily use is right for you. For a 30-tablet free trial offer, go to Cialis.com.
People refer to Jill as that woman with the great smile. I refer to her as that woman with the great gums. As Jill's dentist, I know that her gums are a foundation of a healthy smile. Jill knows that too, so she uses Crest Pro Health Clinical Gum Protection toothpaste. It helps eliminate plaque at the gum line, helping prevent gingivitis. It's even clinically proven to help reverse it in just 4 weeks. And it protects these other areas dentists check most. Crest Pro Health Clinical Gum Protection. Because healthy smiles are built on healthy gums. Life opens up when you do.
Our Save a Bundle plan went up again. That cable company sure is sneaky.
They're obviously ripping us off, and we're just letting them get away with it.
Exactly, I know. It's so upsetting. The next thing you know, they'll be bundling our...
Don't say it, I know. Let's just switch our home phone to Vonage.
Sounds good. Just do it before they rob us completely blind. Thank you.
Don't get bundled. Get Vonage. Switch your home phone to Vonage today to get our best offer ever.
Language actually opens the door to the culture.
J'aime quand je rêve en français.
Talking to people in their native tongue reaches the heart better.
Now I can tell my wife, je t'aimerai à la fin de ma vie.
It's nothing better than for my granddaughter to say, Te amo, tita.
I feel more connected.
Rosetta Stone is, in my opinion, the ultimate method, the only method there is to learn a language.
We are back with MSNBC's ongoing coverage of the Iowa caucuses, which at this hour are too close to call. Mitt Romney, Rick Santorum, and Ron Paul bunched at the top with 27% in. As you see, they're all with 23% of the vote. Let's go back to Des Moines, Iowa, and Chris Matthews. Chris?
Wow, this is an interesting night. I've got former Oklahoma Congressman J.C. Watts. He's with us, and he is definitely with Newt Gingrich. And I was just saying all night, watching this fight between, it's almost like John Henry fighting the machine, you know, with Newt up against those negative ads running against him out here relentlessly. How does he carry on the fight? This one man against this multi-million-dollar PAC that doesn't even have Romney's name on it.
Well, it's tough, Chris, and a month ago I would have told you that I'm sick of the debates. I thought we were debating ourselves to death, but I think that's the way that Newt gets an opportunity to kind of neutralize or create a little more of a level playing field, because you know, he's had 45, 47% of the negative ads run against him in the month of December, and obviously the numbers tonight shows that they've taken their toll. So I think he's got to be a little more aggressive in the debates and dispute some of the things, or differentiate, as the Romney folks would say. I think that's important.
Do you think he has to go after Romney's Massachusetts record? Now, most of us weren't aware that the Massachusetts health care plan provided funding for abortion services. Now, most people would say they're for abortion rights, but not for funding by the government. This does get him into a thicket there as a Republican, doesn't it, Romney?
But Chris, that's not new. I mean, that claim's been out there, and you know, the flip-flop on the life issue, that's been out there, and I do think that, you know, the further south we go, the governor's going to have to answer some of those questions. But tonight, the story to me is not that Newt Gingrich might come in third or fourth, or that Rick Santorum is at 23, or Paul is at 23%. I think that's a real ceiling that Romney, that he's dealing with, 23 to 25%.
We've been noticing that.
But go back 4 years, 2 well-funded, well-organized campaigns. He's not gotten beyond that 23, 24%.
Why 23? Ceiling. It's like the roulette wheel in Casablanca, and the guy puts the boot into it. It stops at 23 every time. Every time we take a poll, I know it won't end up 23 probably, but tonight it looks like it's stuck there with Romney.
Maybe that's the moderate count in the Republican base.
Okay.
And I think, you know, there's been no surge by Governor Romney. There's been no surge by Ron Paul. I mean, I think he's got a 16-17% base. Then you've got, you know, 4 or 5% that wants to legalize, you know, drugs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think at the end of the day, you've got 75% of Republicans saying he's not our choice. And I remind you, 2008, we went into an election that our candidate didn't mobilize people, didn't energize people. We got our heads handed to us.
Well, that's what I keep asking about your party, and you're a big Republican. You get down to Tampa this September. We can now say this September, and you have a room full of thousands of conservatives, Tea Party people included, hot room. It's late September, and you got to put Mitt Romney up on the stage as your nominee.